Yo, you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the final two figures in the first wave of DC Essentials action figures from DC Collectibles. So specifically, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Flash and Reverse Flash figures in the 7-inch scale line. Now these figures will be out in July, so a big thanks to the folks at DC Collectibles for sending me out these figures so I could review them for you guys. Both figures come in similar packaging that we've been seeing with all the DC Collectible action figures. You've got the window box up at the top for Flash, you've got red colors with the white, and you've got the name of the character along with the DC Essentials logo. With the Reverse Flash, you've got black colors with the white, and again, you've got the Reverse Flash name up there at the top. Both figures feature that 20th anniversary logo in the gold foil. And then down below, both figures have the DC Collectibles logo and it says direct from the source. Flash is figure number 3 in this series and Reverse Flash is figure number 4. On the sides of the packaging, we just have images of the figures. And then on the back of the packaging, we have, again, images of the figure, brief bios for both characters in multiple languages, along with the DC Essentials action figure line. And then down below, look at all the figures that are being released in the first wave. So just to recap, we've got Batman, Deathstroke, Flash, and Reverse Flash. Again, all 4 figures will be out in July. And then finally down below that, it tells us that all 4 figures were sculpted by Paul Harding. All right, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Here's a look at the figures outside the packaging. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing both of these figures in one review, and the simple reason for that is, for the most part, these two figures are exactly the same as far as sculpting goes. The only minor differences that I've seen is the lightning bolts on the sides of their head are a little bit different, and then the left hands on each figure is also a little bit different. Otherwise, as far as sculpting goes, these two figures are exactly the same articulation and all that. Also, neither figure comes with any accessories. This is an essential line which just come with the bare accessories, but with these guys in particular, they come with nothing at all. So I just didn't really see any point in doing 2 separate reviews. Now it doesn't really bother me when a company uses like the same sculpt for 2 different characters when it makes sense. And with these 2 guys, I think it actually does make sense because, you know, that's pretty much what they are in the comics. It's just copies of each other. Okay, so starting with the Flash, I like the overall face on this one and the facial expression. He looks like he's smiling. He's got the yellow lightning bolts, which are sculpted on the side, and these are done with the hard plastic, so you do want to be careful with these and not catch them on anything because you could snap them off. I've done that with older Flash figures where I've snapped the lightning bolts off, so that's just something you want to be wary of. You've got some line work sculpted in the mask, which looks like little lightning bolts, so I like that detailing. The mask and the rest of the costume is done with just this red paint. There's really no wash or anything like that. I like the skin tone on the Flash, and I like the eyes. He's got the blue eyes, but they did a solid job with those and the paint applications. With the Reverse Flash, so again, exact same head sculpt as far as I can tell, just different paint applications. These lightning bolts are shaped a little bit different, so those are not exactly the same. Again, they're done with a hard plastic and they're painted red as opposed to yellow, but they're not quite as long as the ones on the Flash either. So those do appear to be a little bit different, but the head sculpts, you've got the same lines on the jaw and everything sculpted on there, and the lines over the eyes, and you got the line work in the mask, so that's all exactly the same. The skin tone is done with a lighter color, and then the way the lips are painted on this one, it looks more like a smirk than a smile, so I guess that's more evil. Again, I do think it's the exact same sculpting of the lips, it's just they painted them a little bit different. And then with the Reverse Flash, he's got the red eyes to give him that kind of evil look. The rest of the figure with the Reverse Flash, he's just got the yellow, again, no wash effect or anything. With the Reverse Flash, he's got the lightning bolt painted on his chest with the black and the red. With the regular Flash, again, it's painted, but with the yellow and the white. And then he's got the yellow stripes here on his wrists and at his waist. The Reverse Flash has the red stripes, and then Reverse Flash has the red boots, and regular Flash has the yellow boots, but again, they're exactly the same as far as sculpting, and they both have the soles on the bottom of their feet. But like I said, both figures are the exact same sculpt. Again, the only other difference between the lightning bolts is you can see here that they sculpted the left hands a little bit different. Reverse Flash looks like he's reaching out to grab something, and then with the regular Flash, it's more of a running type pose with that left hand. The right hands are just closed-fisted. Now these figures both stand right about 7 inches tall, so pretty much the same height that we saw with both Batman and Deathstroke from the first wave. And here's a comparison of all 4 figures from the first wave. Here's a comparison of the 6-inch DC Icons flash that DC Collectibles did, and you can see the new figure is taller. Now, DC never did a Icons version of Reverse Flash, so I don't have a comparison of that one to give you. But again, you can see these new figures are taller than the older Icon figure. Here's a comparison with an older DC Collectibles 7-inch scale New 52 Flash figure, and you can see these two figures are almost the exact same height. Now, here's a comparison with two of Mattel's 6-inch Flash figures. So this one is technically from the DCUC line, and this one is technically from the Multiverse line, but you can see both figures, which again are 6-inch scale, are shorter than the new Essentials figure. Now, I don't have any other comic book based Reverse Flash figures to give you a comparison with, but here is the DC Collectibles DC TV Reverse Flash figure. This is a 7-inch scale figure, and you can see these two are much closer to the same height. The Essentials one is a little bit taller, and then the Mattel Multiverse DC TV Reverse Flash figure as well, which again is a 6-inch figure, and you can see is much shorter. Okay, so for articulation on Flash and Reverse Flash, it's exactly the same between the two figures, so I'm only going to go over it with the Flash figure. Now with these, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and you can look down about that much, and then they've got hinge joints, so they can actually look up pretty good. We saw that with both Batman and Deathstroke. So overall, pretty good head movement. You don't really get much in the way of head pivot with these, but you do have good back and forth movement. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so you can get the arm out about that much. You've got good rotation there at the shoulder. You've got a bicep swivel. You've got a double hinged elbow, so good bending there at the elbow. You've got rotation at the hands, and then you've got hinges on the hands, so up and down movement. Just want to point out, you can actually remove the hands on these figures. They just have little pegs, so you can probably find hands from other figures that you might want to be able to switch out with these. I haven't really experimented with that, but you know, it might be something if you want different pairs of hands that you experiment with. You get an ab crunch type joint, so he can crunch down about that much. And then with this one, joint's a little bit tight, but he can look back pretty good as well. And I do want to say that the joints on both the Flash and Reverse Flash are nice and tight. With the Batman figure, they were a little bit on the loose side, but with the other three figures in this wave, the joints have been pretty tight, which is nice. And then you have a waist swivel with these, so you get rotation there. Now with the legs, you can do the splits about that much, so he can do the splits pretty good, and then you can get the leg forward about that much with Flash, and you can do the leg back and out about that much. You do get a thigh swivel with these figures, which was not something that we saw in the Icon figures. You get double jointed knees, so good bending there at the knees, and then you get rotation, boot rotation, and then hinges with the feet, so up and down movement, and you get rotation, and you do get pivot with these, so good overall foot movement with these, but no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Now one thing I want to point out with the Flash figure is the paint on these ball joints is a little bit different. It's a little bit different color. I think it's more of the plastic than the paint, but you do see a little bit difference in the color with those joints there. And you notice that, I noticed that on the Reverse Flash as well. It's not a big deal, and definitely I like the articulation with the feet. I didn't really notice it with the Batman or the Deathstroke figure, but just something minor that I wanted to point out. So that's my review. So overall, I like these figures. I like the articulation on these. You can get them in pretty good running poses, better than the Icons or the Multiverse figures. So definitely that is a plus with these, and overall looks with them are good. They do incorporate the same sculpts between the two figures, but again, that just really doesn't bother me that much, since these characters are essentially carbon copies of one another with just different colors. And overall, I would say if you're a fan of the Flash, you'll want to check these out. Now these figures are due out in July. They'll hit comic specialty shops and places, online e-tailers like Big Bad Toy Store. Big Bad Toy Store does have both of these figures up for pre-order. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel by hitting that button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.